everyone to another episode of Gaikoku Gamers Bytesized. This is Mike, and today I'm introducing my new section called Retro Corner. This is where I'll be talking about any classic video game system or game, such as the Sega Master System, NES, Super NES, 3DO, Genesis, you name it, I talk about it. Today I'm starting off with my top 5 Colecovision games of all time. We'll see if they jive with your top 5 Colecovision games of all time. But let's stop talking, let's get playing.
Number 5. First off, we have Donkey Kong, licensed by Nintendo to Coleco and a few other systems like the Atari and later the Bytesized. Donkey Kong is a beloved classic. It's very faithful to the arcade representation, although some of the animations aren't here. As you can see, the oil drum is on fire but not animated, and some of the color is not exactly to the arcade specs, but it's still a great fun game. It is a magnificent port and ranks up on my number 5 in my top 5 ColecoVision games. One thing to note is that this version, like many others, don't come with all the levels. The Bytesized version, though, however, does have all of the screens and all of the boards from the actual arcade game. This game's a lot of fun. It gives you a good challenge. You can set the difficulty level 1 for skill level 1, 2, skill level 2, 3, and so on. Mainly what happens with the other skill levels is that you get less lives and the boards are faster. A great representation of the arcade game, a lot of fun, and should be in every ColecoVision collector's collection. It's definitely a great game to put in on a rainy day or just sit back if you're looking to have some fun.
Number 4.
One of my favorite games has made it to my number 4 list of all-time favorite ColecoVision games, and that is Midway's Defender. Later put out on the Atari 2600 before it came to the beloved ColecoVision. It's a very faithful port of the arcade. It's one of the better ports at that time of the arcade version, especially a hell of a lot better than Atari 2600 version. The Bytesized version I found was a bit more colorful in some aspects with lasers and such, but both versions are really good, and if you are a ColecoVision player, this is definitely one to get for your collection. Again, like Donkey Kong, it's a faithful representation of the arcade. It's a lot of fun. The only downside of the ColecoVision version that I found was the controls. With the stiff controller of the ColecoVision, I found it was a little hard to maneuver back and forth in that aspect, but all in all, it's a tremendous version of the arcade. The sound's a little bit off, but the graphics represent the arcade very well. The gameplay is fast and furious, amid the controller issue. But all in all, it's a great one to have to your collection and shouldn't be missed if you have a ColecoVision.
Number 3.
Where would we be without this game? Galaxian. This is the game that I always called the poor man's Galaga. As you can see, each player in the game for ColecoVision has different skill levels that you can set to, and this is what it is. It is definitely like the poor man's Galaga. I love this game immensely. It's why it's on my number 3 list of my top 5. It is very well represented from the arcade. I think, it's pretty basic. I don't know. There's a lot. There's not much to say about Galaxian other than what you see here. It plays like Galaga, except you don't get captured with your ships, but it has the feel of Space Invaders of when you're shooting your missiles or your lasers, whatever you want to call them, because it's very. You have to be very, very precise, and that can be tough on the Coleco as well because of the stiff controller. But all in all, it is a fun game, and I think it's a great port of the arcade game. It is what it is. It's like I said, very basic. Kind of reminds me of the Galaxian from Dwarf, but it's a lot of fun and shouldn't be passed up, especially if you're a fan of the arcade version. Like I said before, it's kind of like combining the shooting mechanics of Space Invaders and the insect invasion world of Galaga without the space capture. we'll sit back, watch some bug destroying, and then we'll get right into our number 2. Number 2. Here we are. My number 2 game on my top 5 list, Star Wars, the arcade game. I think Coleco did a great job bringing this to... Well, I shouldn't say Coleco, I should say Parker Brothers. Parker Brothers brought this to the Colecovision, and I think is one of the best home versions of the Star Wars arcade game out there. A lot of people say the 5200 is better. I've seen the 5200, and I didn't quite think it was this good. One problem with the game definitely is the controls. There's only one set of controls, you cannot change them. Up is down, down is up, and with the Coleco controller, it is hard to maneuver that crosshair properly. And again, that's because of the stiff controller of the Coleco controller. I thought this was one of the best versions out there, and I love this game in arcade. I absolutely loved it. And the only thing this is missing is the voices. Of course, the Coleco couldn't do voice, and the enter your initial screen at the end of the game. Other than that, it's a faithful port, and if you're a Coleco owner, this definitely should be in your collection. It is one of the best ports out there. And finally, folks, the moment we've been waiting for. Number 1. And here we have it, folks, my number 1 ColecoVision game of all time, Gyruss. A great arcade port brought to the ColecoVision from Parker Brothers. They seemed to know what they were doing when they were bringing arcade ports over to the Coleco back in the day. This is a very faithful representation of the arcade game, I think. The music is very spot on for most cases. The sound effects are decent, although you do not hear the laser of the ship fire, just like in the Atari 5200. I believe they used a lot of their processing power and space on the card for the music itself, because that's one thing that really drove home the game in the arcade was the score. It's made of classical music set to the backdrop of high intense space action, and the whole point of Gyruss was to go out and explore space, shoot down the aliens, and get to the planet that you're heading towards. The first planet that you do go towards is Neptune, and then every third stage so there is a bonus round, kind of like in Galaga with the bonus stages, and that's just there to collect points and see how accurate your shooting skills are. This is one of my favorite games in the arcade, and it stands the test of time on the ColecoVision. There are other versions out there, and one that gives this one a run for its money is the Atari Zags. Atari Zags was a really good system for its time, and definitely overlooked, and the games that came out for them were very well ported, and Gyruss was one of them. I love it on the ColecoVision, I loved it on the Zags, I loved it in the arcade, and it's just fun. No matter how many times you die or how many times I play it, I can always come back to it and know that I'm in for a treat. Here we have it on the bonus stage. I got perfect. Yay! Yay for me! But if you are a Coleco owner and love the arcade and don't have this in your collection, very cheap to find, and it's definitely one that should be in there. Well, there you have it, folks. That was my top 5 Coleco games of all times. What did you guys think? Do you guys think I left some out? Do you think there should have been something else that was included or something that shouldn't have been in that list? Let us know in the comments. This is Mike for Gaikoku Gamers. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. We love to hear from you. Comment in the comment section. Let us know what games you liked for the ColecoVision if you played them, or what other top 5 games you would like to see done in our channel. Well, that's it, folks. And remember, when you're playing Galaga or playing Gyruss or Galaxian and you're fighting the aliens, remember, play safe.